All truth is not kind to hear. There's a bitter truth as well as a sweet truth. Jesus said in John 8:32, you shall know the truth. And there's one thing about the truth, it will make you free. And the first thing you need free is your mind.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another broadcast. It is Thursday, June the 20th, as you know it. This is the one and only Wide Awake News, and my name is Eric of the Lovely Family. Now, before I jump right in and get started, I want to say welcome to all those in all the different venues and facets that are paying attention to us today. I always really enjoy these days where my guests can be with us because, yes, I will tell you the truth. I hope upon hope that you would find your way to the Almighty, and that you would find it in your heart to join the brethren and things of that nature. But it is not required, for I am not the giver or the taker of free will, which is, one of the things, yes, as people are messaging me now, free will and things of that nature. We will be talking about the law, as I see it, of free will, and how God implements that and how it manifested itself. It just riddles itself all throughout the Constitution. But I will be going through that, not today. Hopefully you will catch that on a live broadcast. I'm not sure the scheduling of how I'm doing it, but when I go to Straitway Ministries, the Straitway Truth, the guys out there with Pastor Dowell and so forth, I'm going to be doing is as many broadcasts, live or otherwise. Hopefully they'll make it on YouTube or so forth, if they aren't live. And it's one of the things I'm going to talk about because there's really so much involvement. I'm not sure that 2 days can really cover much of anything, but I'm going to do my best to spend 2 days covering all the information that I can. I should be arriving there on what most people perceive as the 4th of July, which is really fraudulent to begin with. But anyways, and hopefully I will be speaking on, if I have my dates correct, the 5th. And then I will be hopefully attending service, Sabbath, on that Saturday, and then speaking again on Sunday. And with that being said, I just want to clear things up for people. Yes, as long as the funding and whatnot, meals and things, as long as I can pay for them all, the trip is assigned, locked in, it is ready to go. I am ready to go. I've made the preparation, so I will be making that venture across land once again. As I said before, I didn't know if I was going to do seminars anymore, but this one felt like one that I really wanted to do. And the people who have difficulty, it is really difficult to give up your time to do a seminar to really not turn a profit, and people seem to have difficulty with that. But let me make this quite clear: if you travel 6 states in one direction, there are hotel stays, there's food, there's lodging, there's everything you can think of, gas and so on and so forth that goes along with it. So I've spent my small fortune already, tons and tons and tons of ounces of silver doing free seminars and things until, well, it broke me. So this is where we are. With that being said, I want to continue today because we're really building on that original ownership. And last time we talked about taxes. And if people want to call in, you guys can actually grab, hopefully there's a moderator or something who can put that number into the chat room. I'm going to go ahead and jump over there real quick and grab it. It's 1-877-342-6673. You can call us on the show, and you can talk to me and you can talk to Pastor Dowell. But today, I want to welcome Pastor Dowell back to the program. It's been a little while, but I'm definitely glad that he is here. Pastor, are you with us?
Yes, sir. Shalom, shalom. Thank you for having me back again, Eric.
Shalom, Pastor. Well, as long as I'm here and got any say, we're going to keep having you back. Once they take my say-so away, the ground might be a little shaky at that time. But for right now, one of the biggest things that we talked about, I hope that people understand, is we were talking about original ownership. Our forefathers, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Adams, Kensley, and other individuals who were all surrounding the ratification process were talking about original ownership. They were putting it in a non-religious terminology. And the reason why people have asked me why it was called original ownership or not the original gift from God, because you must understand that the people who were attempting to formulate the Constitution were what you would call, or they've been called Christians, but they were more Israelite than they were Christian, and we can really delve into that. The key members. But then you had theists, okay, and if people don't know what a theist is, you will have to go and you'll have to look that up, but it is not the same as an atheist, okay? They'll get quite upset with you. And there were atheists in there, as well as other religions that were involved in the creation of the actual Constitution. And that's the reason why they call it original ownership and original currency. And the whole idea is that these gentlemen, most people don't even understand what happened. These gentlemen went into a room with non-believers. That's really what they did. They went into a room with non-believers, and they made their argument based on morality, righteousness, and basically boiled down the right thing to do. This is what they made their argument on. Well, guess what? God's argument won. It won over atheists. It won over theists. Now, granted, we screwed it all up since then, and it only lasted for about 70 years, and most people have no real historical truth of what happened during those 70 years. But with that being said, this is how we're moving down. Now, you can believe that your original ownership came from nature, if you really feel that's your free will. I feel that my original ownership was a gift from God. Okay, so that is the only difference. From there, you can build the same understanding and the same mental processes that someone who thinks outside the box. If you pay any attention to Pastor Dowell's videos, I'm going to give him a couple minutes here to talk about that, about dumb, demoralized, and well, really about thinking outside the box, self-autonomy, thinking for yourself, weighing the facts, and that's how we're going to open today before the break. And when we come back after the break, we are going to get in depth with property. We're going to get in depth with a little more taxation and some of the things that you're supposed to do with your time. Pastor Dowell?
Yes, sir. I'm following the lines and going along the lines of what you're speaking about here today, and especially with thought pattern, Brother Eric. It's pretty simple, yet it's complex, because we live in a country, we live in a society where we have actually been trained and not educated. We're in every facet of our life. We have had either somebody in front of a TV or somebody who claims to be some type of teacher in front of us telling us what to think, how to think, and the way to go about thinking, and not only how to go about their way of thinking, but how to do the actual, implement what you're doing in that thought process. The one thing that I think that we're lacking in this country, understand, especially when we're using biblical principles, is not understanding the difference between the two different thoughts of the culture. The Bible was written from a Hebrew or an Eastern perspective, and we think in this country over here in America from a Western perspective, and both of those thoughts are two different perspectives as well as the viewpoints. The ancient Hebrews, when they thought, and you can see it as the scriptures are written in concrete terms, meaning that there was things that they could see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, whereas the Greeks or the Europeans or the Americans that came over, when they formulated or they wrote down passages of scriptures and stuff, they usually view things from an abstract viewpoint, kind of like you would see an abstract painting, but you couldn't actually really equate to what it was. But in Hebraic thought, if you actually thought about something, you could physically see it, whereas in Greek thought, it's just something that you conjure up with your mind. And then if you believe it to be true, you believe it to be so, then people think that it is so. And that's the reason why we're having this great big gulf, this great big divide when you're having minds trying to come and reason together after the scriptures, because it's hard for people to understand because of the way that we have been trained and not educated how to properly process thought in order for us to understand what the Most High was trying to tell us, and what people need to understand in going forth in their life and seeing things from a very clear perspective and viewpoint.
This is the attempt that, I hope, well, with the break coming up, we'll get back into this right after these messages. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Yes, this is Eric of the Lovely Family. This is the one and only Rents Radio Network, and Jeff Renz will be on directly after us. I hope you could hopefully, the most of you could stick around, check them out, at least give them a listen, and make your decision then. For the program today, as we continue doing this, I think that people really need to eliminate, discard, throw away, trash can, whatever it is that you have built your ideology on up to this point. And, if you think that trash canning it is too harsh, set it on the back burner and let it sit there, because you know it very well. And think about things that we talk about. Think about the different impacts of the different topics that we utilize, and use them to look back at what you've been trained. Look at your ideology. Do they clash? Which one makes more sense? Which one is more beneficial to you, more beneficial to your family? And does the least amount of harm or intrusion on others, this nature. If you want a free and peaceful life, there are ways to obtain it. There are ways to get there. However, we can't make the proper decisions to get us to that peaceful life, peaceful coexistence, unless we have the right information to base our decisions on. And we need to judge, and people are going to talk about the the biblical aspect of judging and so forth. And well, that's why I have Pastor here with me, just so he can talk a little bit about that. But I duly believe, and if I'm incorrect, he can correct me, but we are supposed to judge and determine. We are supposed to view the fruits of one's labor and those around us and put them into brackets of trustworthiness, not trustworthiness, things of that nature. This idea that we're not supposed to judge to me is kind of ridiculous. What is withheld from us is judgment. As I see it, and that is the biblical end terminology of judging one's soul, whether it moves on to spend that time with Yah, or if it spends that time in the burning pit of fire, or whatever it is that you think is on that end of it. But that's really what it boils down to. So what we're here to do is to try and help you create situations where you make the right decisions based on quality moral information. And so with that being said, I definitely want to get back into this and get back into the ideas and how you make proper, how you can try to generate proper ideas. But let's focus on for a second. And Pastor Dowell, the whole idea of schooling, the way the public school system, as you call it, and I wholeheartedly agree. They programmed these little drones to wander around, and basically when these little drones are versed with something or some decision they actually have to make, they always end up making a decision based on their personal lust, greed, wants, whatever the whimsical nature is of the flesh, as we would call it, or of human nature, as they would call it. And people don't understand why they make certain decisions within school to come out a certain way, and then in real life decisions they make all of the wrong decisions. They're on drugs, or they're doing whatever, or they're prostituting, or whatever it is. And I beg to tell people that it's because the school system doesn't actually show you how to think. It shows you how to memorize and regurgitate what someone wants you to say or do. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. The best way to approach it, of course, my forte is definitely coming from a biblical perspective and understanding. People need to understand that from the very get-go and from the very beginning is that we are automatically starting off from a heart that is separated from the Creator of the Most High. And if you're having teachers sitting in front of you who don't fear the Most High and does not keep His commandments, then you can only imagine what could be sitting in front of you. You're basically getting somebody that is teaching your children and has taught you a perspective that is only coming from their own perceived reality. Jeremiah 17 verse 9 says that the heart is deceitful above all things and is desperately wicked. And then he asked the question, who can know it? Well, Yahweh is the only one that knows the heart. And if we want a very good understanding in order, to live a very quiet, peaceable, and a moral lifestyle, we're going to have to submit to something. And it can't be the imaginations that come from our own mind without any checks and balances in it whatsoever at all. And so we have to choose. Just like that the Most High had given Joshua, he said to him in Joshua 24:14, now therefore fear Yahweh and serve him in sincerity and truth, and put away the gods. You see, this is the problem that we're having today, is that even when people make an idol of their own opinion, they're basically becoming a god unto themselves. We already have enough influence in this world from other gods and other ways and other perspectives and other imaginations and ideals. But when you're submitting to the Father and doing exactly what he's saying, listen what it goes on and says. Which your father served on the other side of the flood in Egypt and served ye Yahweh. And if it seem evil unto you to serve Yahweh, and this is the dilemma that we're having today, is that people want a life without the influence of the creator of the universe, the eternal, in their life. They want to do things their way. They want to live it their way. And then it seems like that every time when it comes time for us to pay for the wages of sin, which is death, and the breath is getting ready to go out of our body, all of a sudden everybody wants to get this God. Everybody wants to fear him, and everybody wants to get this religion, and everybody all of a sudden wants to go to the place that they never lived for while they were here on this earth. So he says, if it seem evil unto you to serve Yahweh, choose you this day whom you're going to serve, whether it be the gods of your fathers that were on the other side of the floods, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land that you dwell in. And he's basically telling the people in a nutshell, you know, you have a decision to make, whom you're going to serve. And his advice is you choose him, the eternal, because he's the one that's going to protect you. He's the one that's going to teach you his laws, his statutes, and his commandments, and how to live a very productive and peaceful life, set apart from all the other nations in this world, so that you can be a minister to these nations and be a light to them. But we're coming from the perspective that we have actually been taught by the nations that do not actually really fear Yah. And now we're, just like you said before, we're what, 100-something years, 200-something years removed away from the Constitution from its inception. And now you've got all this fallen nature, and you've got people who could be closet witches, and people who have different levels of morality or sets of morals sitting in front of you, presenting themselves as if they are benevolent, as if they are the people of truth, honest, and justice, and tranquility, and all the things above. And actually, they're flat out evil because they're rejecting the ways of the Most High.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And yes, I was so warned we did run way over into the break, but that hopefully I don't get stoned or anything for that anytime soon. But we're going to continue rolling on. And, you know, I think that the biggest thing is that, you know, there are certain things. I think free will is really one of the biggest, most interesting things to talk about when you start talking about Yah and the law of Yah. And you start to understand that, you know, here's a newsflash. If you look throughout the Bible, even God doesn't break the rules, even though he could anytime he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
He maintains the law and order, both sides, free will. Could he make you believe in him? Sure, he could. Could he, you know, make all the evil in the world go away? Sure, he could, but it's about lessons. It's about, you know, proving worthiness, lessons, and free will, and understanding, you know, he's teaching you a lesson. When he doesn't break the rule himself, no matter what benefit or quality of life or good you think may come from it, the fact that he doesn't break the rule himself means it's the same idea that it's found in the Constitution. You know, you can do whatever you want as long as you don't harm anyone else, as long as you don't affect anyone else, as long as you don't do anyone else, as long as you aren't what? Affecting their free will. In other words, if you go on their property and you shoot up them and you shoot up their whole family and you take all their goods, and what did you do? You took away their original currency, which was given to them at the time of creation. Their hours, their minutes, okay? These hours and minutes belong to them. They were a gift. And you are to choose and decide what it is that you do with these moments from one moment to the next, okay? We tell you shouldn't frivolously throw them away. However, you have the free will and option to do so. But you also have to suffer and pay the consequences for what that brings to you. So this is something that I really, the reason why I love having you on, Pastor, is because we really, as we start digging into the Constitution, we start digging into the ideology. I don't even care about the piece of paper. I care about the ideology, the conversations that were created and maintained, and what had to happen for people to come to this very simple agreement, this very simple understanding of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. Everyone has free will to carve their own destiny. If they carve their destiny into the bowels of hell, well, they did it. It is their time, their energy. No one can force them to do anything. And it's the same way with the law. When you look at torture, the reason why torture is unconstitutional is based on that original idea. Okay, you cannot break your own law and then claim morality and righteousness, which is the reason why the Almighty Yah, as I see it, doesn't break them himself. He cannot claim righteousness and that his law is correct if he is willing to discard it at the same time, which is the reason why he sticks to it. He's proving a point, if you ask me. How do you feel about that, Pastor?
Very well put. Very well put, Brother Eric. I couldn't even say it better myself. And I notice you're using the word choose, which is what needs to be ingrained inside the people's minds. Because, see, we think simply because a thought that comes up in our mind that we're automatically choosing because we actually thought it and we think it originates from us. But yet and still we have options that are put before us. Deuteronomy 30 verse 19 says, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, and I've set before you life and death, blessings and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. So decisions that we're making in our lives every single day, we're eating the fruit of it, whether it be life or death. We're determining what's right and what's wrong by the decisions that we make. But it's utterly appalling today that as we get farther and farther and farther away from the Most High and we quickly run towards secular humanism, we continue to keep finding ourselves making decisions that gender to the flesh, and we want to live on this earth without the Creator influence in our life, which just cannot simply be. Your life cannot be happy. You cannot pursue happiness and liberty without the one who gives the peace, without the one that is the Prince of Peace. So this perceived reality that we're trying to make, or this utopia outside of him, is just simply not going to work. We are going to submit to somebody. We're going to submit to some entity, whether we like it or not. And there's two of them that are supreme beings that are operating in the realm that we live in, whether people choose to believe it or not. It's Almighty Yahweh and Satan. And whether they choose to believe it or not, it's going to become a present-day reality when the breath go out of their body and judgment has already been set.
And, I think that, and there is a reason why, and when we talk about this, you have to understand whether you believe in nature. If you believe nature to be your God, and what does that mean? Well, the forefathers wrote it down. Nature or nature's God. It allowed you the freedom of choice to choose with faith that you believed in. It's really, freedom of choice is riddled throughout the documentation. Now, the reason why is because, look, it doesn't matter what aspect you come from. If you choose that you're nature, or you choose like us, Yah, or you choose Bilbo the frying pan God, whatever it is, okay. At the time you were born, you were brought into this world. This is where the original ownership and original currency came in. You have to understand that I don't care who you follow. I don't care. I don't care who you follow. I don't care if you follow Yah himself 100%. It doesn't matter how closely you follow him, how perfectly you are, how much righteousness you have in you. Your human body is going to die. Okay? You cannot avoid that. God said so.
Correct.
Okay? So you are going to die. Now, he may extend your life. He may make your years happier, more pleasant. He may have in store for you a peaceful, quiet ending without pain and without suffering. All those things are capable. But the original idea is that you are going to die. Mm-hmm. So the choice is left up to you. We have to understand that this government, these people who attempt to assert authority over you, they are robbing you. They are 100% robbing you. It is thievery. It is the theft of the most insane pinnacle of theft. I don't even know what to call it. Grand Theft Auto to infinity. Because whether nature got you here, or as I believe Yah got you here, you were given X amount of chips to play. And when the chips are gone, the game is over. Okay, so when you let a school system rob your children of their youth and their mind, when you let higher education systems rob them of their belief systems, rob them of their own choice, all of these different things that you are injecting into your life and into theirs, you are literally stealing their life currency, their free choices. You are corrupting the basis of their ability to make choices and decide what they want to believe and what they don't want to believe. And I think that's one of the biggest things, because I'm pretty sure that I heard before we could talk a little bit about homeschooling and how you think that that actually affects the cognitive processes of youth and how it develops. Well, what do you see differently in the adults that your version of education produces and the rest of the world?
When we actually take our children and we homeschool our own children and we follow the instructions, the rules, and the guidelines of the Bible, what we see that is produced from that is we see a people who are morally sound, meaning that they don't believe that they exist to actually rule over other people. They don't do that, but they follow the law, statutes, and commandments. The fruit of that is that they believe in one husband, one wife. They end up having children. They raise their children in the values, the morals, the commandments of the Most High Yah. They're very happy and very and they don't have all the temptations that goes on in his life as far as going out trying to meet and compete with the Joneses. They don't have to worry about getting carjacked because they're not out at the clubs. They don't have to worry about looking at all these crazy things on TV and allowing all these thoughts enter into their mind, because they're guarding themselves from all these things, because this is a decision that they choose. Yet at the same time, when they leave outside from the confines of this community, we're not trying to impose what we believe on everybody else. It's a decision and it's a choice, and we respect their right to either receive or reject. That's up to them. As a matter of fact, the Bible says in 1 Corinthians 14:38, if any man be ignorant, let him be ignorant. Every human being on this earth has a right to choose to walk in knowledge and obey that knowledge, or you can choose to be ignorant. That is your prerogative. That's a decision you make. But know this, that even in this life, as well as the life to come, you're going to eat the fruit of those ways.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the last segment of the Wide Awake News program here on June the 30th, which is referred to as a Thursday. I'm getting a little message from Charlie there. I'll get back to him in a moment. I do want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank the people who got into the chat room, who spend the time, and who are willing to listen. I hope that you are recording these pieces of information, these bits and things that you can actually get to teach your children, to help you understand what is going on and the things that you really could be doing. I say should be doing, but they're once again down to choices. I think that people really have to understand the whole example of the higher ground. Yes, can you commit torture and things of that nature? Well, of course you can. Just like God can do anything he wants, anytime he wants. Okay? Anything he wants. But the question is, should you? If you are attempting to be a moral, upstanding people, righteousness, the right thing to do, this comes with decision-making process. You cannot abandon your own rule to benefit yourself. That would be wrong. And I hope that people really start to understand these things, and I hope things to start to set in when we start to talk about these. And I know that we talked a little bit more about time, because this really is the message that has to be brought home. That these days, these minutes, these hours, these things, okay, you can't get new ones. You can't get more. Okay, they don't sell them at Walmart. You can't go down and say, I'd like an extra 60 days tacked onto my life. Yeah, how much is that? It doesn't work that way. People think they do through the advancements of medicine, but really it's just, we could get into that too. It's a whole nother issue. But what I really want to draw home today, and I want to utilize the help of Pastor Dowell, is hopefully to help you comprehend. Okay, not to understand, to comprehend. And there's a reason why I use that word, to help you comprehend the severity of the decisions you're making, and that all of the decisions are important, and you cannot leave them up to anyone else. Okay, they are your decisions. Even if you're a good person, if you put someone else in charge and they represent you unrighteously, then you are unrighteous because you have allowed them to represent you. Okay, people have to really truly grasp and comprehend all of these decisions, from where you eat, where you live, what you eat, what you do with your time. These are all spending that currency you get no more of, called minutes. Okay, and so this is about making quality decisions and having a quality thought process, so that you aren't allowing other people to steal these minutes from you, to steal your free will from you, to steal your choice to abstain or to take part, or whatever it is you want to do. This is what the government has set out upon. The Marxists claimed that it was the antithesis of the Holy Bible. Well, what does that mean? Well, if your free will, if God says, look, hey, I'm not even going to overrun your free will. You choose what you want to do. You want to go to hell? Have at it. You want to come up here and live with me? Have at it. You know, whatever it is you want to do. Well, what does the government say? Oh, no, they'll make decisions for you. They'll tell you what it is you need to know. They will manipulate, control every single thing. And one of the big things that I wanted to end on today is talking about your ownership. If you put in your time, your energy, your sweat, your effort, your life, okay, into something, how in the world can you claim ownership of wealth if somebody hands you an IOU paper? I mean, that's what a fiat dollar is. It's debt. You don't own anything. You have nothing tangible in your hands. So what have you done? You've given away your currency, your minutes, your labor, for what? In exchange for nothing. You have been robbed. Now, see, you would know that if you understood how to really review, think outside the box, and think about the information that's presented to you. Or am I completely off basis there, Pastor Dowell?
No, as a matter of fact, you're right on basis, because it goes back to the principles of this. Ownership is this. You know, when you come into this world, you automatically belong to Satan, whether people understand that, like it or not. When you confess your sins, your iniquities and transgressions, and you ask the Father to forgive you, you ask Jesus to be the Lord of your life, or Lord over your life, then you have a particular spirit that will come inside of you that will enable you to walk in the rules and the guidelines, to actually to function and follow the way that he says. As a matter of fact, your life will be filled with love, joy, peace, happiness, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, the whole 9 yards. But without him, the options are hardship, depression, bitterness, hatred, self-centeredness, envy, strife. These are the spiritual implications whenever you disobey. And so when we get to the point to where we're here in this particular juncture in time now, like we are, I'll give you an example. There are people here at Straitway that don't have to never pay taxes. There are people here on Straitway that never has to leave the land to go out here to pay taxes to Caesar, because they're not going out giving over their labor to them in order to obtain what they call their fiat currency system, and in order to operate and function inside of it, because they made a decision. They chose to operate outside of their scope. Now, do we in some measure, in some way, still operate in it? Yes, but very minimum, very little. But because we have made a decision to choose to understand what real money is, how to live in this system, and we know who our owner is, we know who our God is, and so therefore we serve him, and not the gods of this earth, or the God that's written on the Federal Reserve notes, meaning money.
Yeah, I think it's really funny. Everybody looks at it and goes, they hold the money. I say, well, look, it says in God we trust. Well, I'll hold that note, and I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're an Israelite, if you're a Hindu, a Buddhist, a Catholic, a Bukla land. I don't care what it is that you have faith in. Show me where the representation of your God is on that dollar bill.
Right.
Show it to me anywhere. No one has ever been able to do it because it's God. The God is talking about is the money. That is the symbol of the God.
True.
And people really, when it's some of the oldest things. It's really about thinking. It's all about self-autonomy and self-thought, and teaching yourself how to truly weigh things. Because you will have to any wise individual. You really, you're not supposed to call people that, but a foolish individual. Well, a foolish individual picks up that dollar bill, sees "In God We Trust," and they automatically assume what they're talking about me. And my God, that's who they're talking about. I mean, what kind of fool do you have to be to believe something like that and to convince yourself of that personal stupidity? Now, I'm sorry if that upsets some people, but this is a very basic understanding of tangible reality. Okay, there are no markings on that dollar bill, and therefore, in the assumption, if you want to take it from the point of law, without any other markings or insignias or inferences to attach to that system under the law, the constitutional law, "In God We Trust" is referring to the bill itself. Now, people are completely lost at this point. But under your own constitutional law, the state has claimed a religion and a God and presented it to you, which is unconstitutional. So once you start experiencing these things, you start thinking about these things, you can really break them down all by yourself and have a complete understanding of what's going on around you. Now, with that being said, I have a couple of minutes left, and Pastor Dowell, I would like you to give them your locations to contact you or to get more information from you, and any closing words on today's topic as we're going out.
Sure. Thank you very much. Well, our ministry website is www.straitwaytruth, STRAITWAYTRUTH.com. On there, there's newsletters, there's all type of articles, especially to learn how to get free of a lot of the oppressions that are going on within your life, to get a very good understanding, because, hey, you have to choose to go there, and you have to choose to think. You have to choose to open up your mind and allow yourself to be positioned in such a way to learn. As well as you can go to YouTube and type in the name Pastor Dowell, and I have many, many videos, probably well over 100 videos that you can learn just about on any subject that I talk about, whether it be on the social, political, economics, or the religious front. We also have live streaming video on www.online-church.org. And I'm broadcasting every Friday night from 7 p.m. until I'm done, usually about 3 hours on Blog Talk Radio. You just type in blogtalkradio.com/Straitway. Again, the main ministry website is www.straitwaytruth.com. And Eric, I want to end it on this right here. If people would just think. Now, that you have to force yourself to do that, because that's something that we're not accustomed to doing. If we think, we're usually thinking about things that are already in our mind that we assume that we put there, rather than us actually exercising the art of thinking. So we have to choose to actually think in order to make an informed decision. And if you really ask the Father, but that's the key, you have to ask the Father to lead and guide you and show you. He will do it. He'll put something in your life. He'll put somebody in front of your life to help you out on this journey and way to go. But it's a decision, and it's a choice, and action must be made in order to see the benefits from the choices that you have decided to make going forward with Jesus.
Well, I definitely want to say I'm always so glad to have you, and yes, I'm looking forward to it. In approximately 15 days, we'll finally actually get to meet in the flesh.
Hallelujah.
And fellowship together. For everyone else, I want to thank you for being here, and until next time, keep your head down.
Uh-oh, look at him looking.